makes doing things like really, really, really Let's just try that again. Okay. Hi guys! So I guess I wasn't as fast uploading this video as I had promised that I would be. But my laptop has completely crashed, and all I have is my regular PC, which is what I'm on now, and I had to transfer all of my data from my laptop to my PC, and it took a really long process, and the PC that I'm on right now is a really big pile of garbage, and I've just been having all these problems, and I know that I promised you, and I'm sorry, but this is it. It's here now. Yay! Obviously this is my job video. In my whole YouTube life, my year being on YouTube, this is the most requested and asked video that I have gotten. Most of the questions, if not all the questions that I get, have to do with my job. What I've done when I was in Japan, how I got it, all that stuff. So I'm hoping that I will, answer all those questions in this video. Since I want this video to be as informative as possible, I actually wrote down stuff on my computer to talk about, so I'll be looking like this a lot to make sure that I cover everything, because I don't want to miss anything and have people be like, but you didn't answer this. Well, hopefully, I got everything. So, I'm going to talk about a few things. I'm going to talk about the visa process I went through, how I got my job in Japan, where I worked, and was speaking Japanese a necessity for my job. So, let's just go right into it, because I don't want this video to be like super duper long and boring, and you guys are like, come on now. Alright, so first off is the visa. Because the visa process is different in every country, the information that I'm going to be giving is probably only going to be informative to Canadians, or if there's countries that have the same visa process as Canada, then it'll be informational to you as well. But I don't know what the process is for everywhere, so this is just my personal experience, what I had to do, what I went through, and hopefully it'll be informative for you Canadians, or maybe it's informative to other people too. Alright. So I went to Japan on a working holiday visa. To get this visa, you must be under 30 years of age and you must pass the application process. The visa allows you to work part-time for 6 months. After your 6 months have expired, you can go to the immigration office in Shinagawa and apply to extend your visa for 6 more months. The approval of your 6-month extension is going to be determined by how you spent your previous 6 months. So there's a few things I had to do to get my visa. First thing I had to do is fill out the given application form. You can find this application on Google. It asks basic information and things like if you know anyone in Japan already, what kind of job you hope to get, and etc. The next thing I had to do is write a full-page letter explaining why I wanted to go to Japan. This part is pretty important because this is going to be one of the major determining factors on if they're going to be approving you to go to Japan. I would really hope that most people who are going to Japan would want to go there for more, for like culture reasons and language experiences and sightseeing and touring, and not, because I love anime and manga and Japanese boys are super kawaii. Like, come on guys. You gotta be serious about stuff like this. You need to also write out a detailed itinerary of the first 6 months you'll be in Japan, so things you plan to accomplish each month. You also need to prove you have at least $3,000 in your bank account. This is so the government knows that you are not just going to be having enough money for the plane ticket and then you're going to go to Japan and you for some reason don't get a job and you're not doing anything, you're not contributing to society at all, or you know, maybe you just disappear and they can't find you and then you're an illegal alien living in Japan, and that's the stuff that they're trying to keep out of Japan. You'll need a full physical examination from your doctor too, just to make sure you're in good health. After you have everything filled out, you can go to your nearest Japanese consulate and drop off your resume or application. And I had a lot of trouble with this because the province that I live in, I was told that there was a Japanese consulate in my province, and it was like a city that was like 2 hours away, and I was like, sweet, I'm just gonna drive down there, take a day, and go see what's up. Well, I ended up going there and was told that there's no Japanese consulate in your province, so you have to go to the next province over. And I was just like, awesome. And the next province, the Japanese consulate that was nearest me was actually a 7-hour drive away, so I had to drive all the way there. I had to make my appointment, hopefully get there in time, and yeah, so luckily I had a friend that was actually living in that city, and he allowed me to stay with him, so shout out to Dan, you're a lifesaver, I love you. So I actually didn't have to drive like 7 hours there, go to my appointment, and then 7 hours back to my province, which would have sucked because I can't afford hotels and stuff at that point because I had all my money saved up for Japan. So I did that. Finally ended up getting there, made my appointment, dropped off my application, and then played the waiting game, which was probably the most stressful part of the whole thing because it was like, you know, you're always thinking, is something gonna go wrong? Am I gonna actually get this? Maybe they don't like me. Oh my goodness. But then about 2 weeks later, I think, I got my passport back with my little visa inside and like a little sticky note written by the lady, and she was like, have a wonderful time in Japan. And I was like, oh, the world is good. So, I worked as a bartender in a foreigner bar in Meguro called the Black Lion. Okay, so this is where I feel people are going to be a bit disappointed, because I feel when you ask how I got my job and what I did, you're hoping to get some insight on like resumes or in interviews, but I didn't do any of that. My uncle has lived in Japan for 18 years. For my graduation present, I got to visit him for a month in Japan. After that, I went back 2 times with a friend and stayed for a month each time. So in total, before my year, I had been in Japan for 3 months. Each time I had been in Japan, my uncle would take me to his favorite bar called the Black Lion. I became very used to the regulars, I knew the owner very well, and you know, just got to go there a lot and got very comfortable with the place, and people knew me. My uncle was a regular, so people knew me as his niece. When I arrived in Japan for my year, my uncle was actually immediately contacted by one of the managers at the Black Lion and asked if I had found a job or if I needed a job, and if I wanted, I could work at the Lion. And I, of course, said yes, and that's how I got my job. So I hope you aren't too disappointed. I was just really, really lucky. I would definitely say no. Japanese is not necessary for what I had to do. When I came to Japan, I literally knew no Japanese. I knew like, hello, sorry, excuse me, very basic. The Black Lion is a foreigner-owned British pub. The guy who runs it is actually Canadian. So the clientele are mostly English-speaking foreigners, or English-speaking Japanese. There's the occasional non-English-speaking customer, but everyone is very patient and kind, and we all have fun like laughing and learning together. My work, my work was really, really fun. I can't even just look. That's what I got paid to do. It was, there's no words to explain on how lucky I feel to have gotten to be in, to get that kind of job and be within that kind of environment and around such good people. Um, the Black Lion was my second home. Working partners and regulars became my family, my second family. I'm very grateful for the people I had met there. The Black Lion is honestly the main place I had met all the amazing people that have made this trip everything I had dreamed it would be. I also had no bartending experience prior to working at the Lion, but I would say that I learned quite a bit from working there. So yeah, I really hope that was informational. I feel like I hit pretty much everything. I would definitely recommend trying to get into uh, bartending in Japan. I've heard that it can be really easy and really difficult at the same time. There are certain places that are like really looking for bartenders. Like, it seems that foreigners, bartending seems to come and go really easily, because a lot of people just do it as like a side job. Like I only worked part-time anyway, so I didn't need a really big job, but it's generally for people who are just looking for like part-time weekend things to do. So that's something, if you're not looking for a full-time like live off of job, I would definitely suggest try getting into like bartending just for a weekend or something. Foreigners here are usually, it's very difficult, it's very hit and miss sometimes between everyone. We're usually really nice and try and stick together and help everybody out. So, like, from the experience that I've had, you know, generally people are very willing to help you if you really need some kind of help. So just go around and ask around and see if anywhere is really hiring or just looking for some extra help. I would also definitely recommend going to Meguro and checking out the Black Lion. It is an amazing place filled with amazing people. Go in there and be like, hey, I know Amy. And they'll be like, oh yeah, Amy's awesome, high five. And yeah. So I think that's all I need to say. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. And tell me why in the comments. Because I like that. So, as always, take care. And bye-bye.